Simon Cox, thank you so much for joining us. Fish and I have seen your film. Thank you for meeting with us.
Man, we couldn't be more excited.
I'm absolutely honoured. I loved your review, guys. It's sorry, spoiler alert there. You guys were really good. You're my audience. I could see as soon as I saw your faces pop up. I thought, there, these guys are going to be okay. He says,
"It's an honour to be your audience."
"Oh, thank you. That's lovely to hear."
Simon, we'd love to know more about you. Can you tell us who you are and what you do?
Yeah, of course. Well, I live here in lovely England. I've been a filmmaker for years. I know I don't look it, but I'm in my early 50s. God knows how that happened. And I've been an editor. I was an editor of children's TV since I was about 22. And I cut loads of kids' TV over here. I don't suppose you would have got the Wombles over there. I don't know. That was something I cut. Back in the late 80s, I hasten to add.
Wombles,
but
yes, I know the
Wombles. Come on. Well, it was big. It was big here in Britain. And I've done lots of things. But I did a film. My first feature film was even worse than this one. I shouldn't say that actually. No, it was a supernatural thriller called Written in Blood.
She must die. Evil is gaining ground.
That
Fish,
was shot
put it on the list. Put it on the list, Fish.
Yeah, how do we?
You probably. No, it's all right actually. It's a good fashion to say that. I can't believe I just said that live on your thing. Anyway, no, it was shot in '96. It was shot on Super 16. It was really hard, and it was a low budget, but I had a lot of people involved and lots of fingers in the pie, which made it very difficult. But after that experience, it was so horrendous. I mean, it was a really hard film to make. I thought, if I'm going to do this again, I'm going to make the movie that I want to make, which is that kick-ass sci-fi, Star Wars inspired, War of the Worlds, every film that I loved, like Doctor Who, Battlestar Galactica, Buck Rogers, that kind of sci-fi that I love, not the sort of cerebral droll stuff. I wanted the fun, and then this is Christ. This is last century, right? 1999. I came up with this idea, and I just decided to go for it. And my first film had actually done quite well. It made its money back and was doing well.
Oh, good.
But so I was just like, how do I get this? And I just couldn't get it going. And I spent 10 years chasing around the block. Lots of conversations, lots of pitches, business meetings. That whole we call it Dragon's Den over here, where you stand in front of investors and you talk about, you pitch a project, and they all lay into you. But I did lots of these things, and it just wasn't happening. I had little promises of money here, a bit there, but it was a bit like building a house of cards. Somebody promises you a little dollop here, someone promises you a bit there, and you think, oh well, I'll get that bit there, and then that, and you build this thing up, and then the guy at the bottom drops out, and the whole thing just collapses. And this happened over and over again. And and also personally, me and my wife had kids, and we were bringing up a young family, and I just couldn't get the thing going. And I hit kind of like 2010, and I thought, this is insane. I'm a passionate filmmaker. I want to make movies, and I kept having lots of offers. Yeah, we're going to do this. Well, let's do that, and it just wouldn't happen. And so I just went. I thought, sorry, I'm going to just make this my way. I'm going to crowdfund it, and then became the journey of crowdfunding. Because you try crowdfunding an epic multi-million-dollar Hollywood blockbuster. That's what it was in my head. So that was it. And then I went on the journey. I did 2 years of crowdfunding, and I noticed people really were very, very nice to me, very loyal. They just kept putting money in, and I ran 7 campaigns, which is a lot of work. And lots of people came on board and would help me with the campaigns, and loads of people just kept coming back in, and they kept sharing it with their friends. And over 2 years, we raised about £50,000, which I'm not sure that is in Australian dollars, but
that's a lot.
It nearly killed me, but it enabled me to shoot about a good chunk of the film, about nearly a third.
Okay.
But I was determined I was going to pay the actors, I was going to pay the crew, not silly money, but enough to survive. And when you've got like cranes, you close down central Birmingham, and you bring in cranes and lights, and it's not cheap. And I did it as cheap as I could. Tanks, all that lot. It was a very, very
Yeah.
expensive thing to do.
Oh, Simon, well, we really want to hear about that, but just on your journey to get to
Yes.
where you were and the crowdfunding experience, I need to ask you about this is just
Okay.
a note that I read about you. Was it
Yeah.
in France and you met in a bar with a couple of dodgy looking guys?
Right.
This sounds like a film in itself, by the way.
Yeah. Well, this, there's rumors, and I don't know if this is true, but like Francis Ford Coppola, even Frank Sinatra, were all kind of hooked into the kind of had mafia money. Anyway, that was, I'm not, believe me, I'm not a criminal or anything like that. I wouldn't dream of doing that. But this French guy out of nowhere rang me up when it was very early on. I think it was about 2010. He rang me up out of nowhere and said, "I hear you're looking for funding, for your film." And I said, "Yes." He said, "Oh, I'm an investor." He said, I'll pay for your movie." And this was when it was 2 million, or nearly $3 million. That was my budget. Yeah, dream on, Simon. So he said, but I want to meet you first. And I was like, well, fair enough. He said, let's meet in Paris. So I thought about it, and I had a chat with my friend Ken, who's quite a sensible older producer. And he said, well, it's worth a punt. So we have Eurostar here, which is a train under the channel, which goes straight to Paris. So we jumped on that. Cost me $300. Anyway, that's another story. Went to Paris, went to this place where this guy said, and he wasn't there. And it was just a bar right near the Paris train station. And I'm waiting around, and then these two very dubious young guys, I would say 19, came over and said, "Are you Simon?" I said, "Yeah, yeah." And we started talking, and they said, all we want you to do is just take this package over to Switzerland. Get the train over to Switzerland, drop it off, come back, and then we'll give you the money for your movie. And I was tempted. They were very persuaded. I was kind of well, Francis Ford Coppola may have, but thankfully we just said no. We walked away, and ever since that day, I'm glad, because God knows what sort of mess I would have got into.
That could have got you a lot deeper. How
Yeah.
far along? When was this?
This was really early. This was about 2010, rough 2010.
Okay.
I was just, Facebook was quite new, so I was
Yeah.
putting it out there. So I don't know how they found out about me. I think I was on various, I've been talking about it a lot, and I was, shouting about it and stuff. So yeah, it freaked me out a little bit afterwards, because I thought, crikey, we could have got into a right mess, and I'd spent all that money to get there. I was really skint as well.
I need to come out of this with something. I suppose being like 10, 11 years into your pre-production, you would have started getting a little bit desperate as well. I'm sure that.
Yeah. Well, he seemed that, when somebody seems really genuine, they were very, very genuine, and so no, thankfully, I didn't do that, because who knows, I might not be here now. Anyway, that's another story.
Yeah, well, that's it. You could be at the bottom of the Thames.
Yeah. Oh God.
Well, one question I have was this. So such a long process. What are we talking, like 20 years ish?
Oh, nearly. Yeah. Yeah.
So was it just you? Like, what, did you have any other producer friends with you, or was it just you?
It's a bit like I was a bit like a train. I'm the driver, and people come on and they get off.
Yeah.
And a lot of people would help, and then they realize, oh my God, this is going to happen, and they'd leave. And I had a big producer come on at one point, and he really tried. He really tried, but he just couldn't get. It was kind of, we had a recession. Well, recession, wasn't there? Sort of 2008. He just couldn't get the money, and he made some big films. He'd even worked with the Beatles. He was quite old. He worked with the Beatles years, before.
Wow.
So yeah, so I mean, he'd been around, and he just couldn't get it. And so, and lots of people came on. My good loyal school friend Mark just got on, and I mean, we don't live near each other, but it was all Twitter and Facebook, and so he would just blitz out. And he really helped me with the crowdfunding, and we came and did the shoot, and it was like my old schoolmates. That was what was nice about this. It was it was quite a family orientated. So yeah, people came and went. That was a really long-winded answer. Sorry, Fish.
No, that's good. Well, that leads me to my next question, because it felt like a more of a family orientated thing, like when you bring in old friends in and things. Do you feel that it was more rewarding, like getting to making the shoot, because it was such a passion project, as opposed to having some big producer come on and be like, hey, yeah, we like this, but we want to change this, this, and this?
Yeah, that was one of the things that I decided after my first film, Written in Blood, was I needed control over it, and it wasn't an ego thing. It's just I had lots of people. You know what? You get a shoot together. It's a big old deal getting a shoot together,
Yeah.
and then you've got somebody there going, "No, you can't have that. You can't have that," and you just blocks. And it's like, well, we're making the film. The thing that we should be doing all the good work on is the filming part. That's the important bit. And so I didn't want any of that, but I'm not an idiot, you know. I wasn't going to say, I know, let's bring a horse and carriage in here. I wasn't going to do anything like that, you know, be a prima donna or anything. And everything was very planned, meticulously. You know, the tank scenes that we had to absolutely plan it down to the T. So I was organised. I knew how much I needed to raise for this particular bit, and strange enough, because of the way we shot it, it was like doing lots of short films. And you know, I tried to shoot all the actors in a relatively close amount of time. So I was worried about haircuts and all that sort of thing.
Aging.
And, well,
Yeah.
There's a few stories there. Our lead man Simon came back. We reshot the kitchen scene. You mentioning about the sound. It's another story. He came back from LA. He was doing really well, and his beard had gone grey. And we had to kind of make his beard up. And he said, "Oh, you know, it was like 2 years ago." So there was a bit of that. But you know,
So
nobody
how
knows.
were you shooting it? Were you like did you work full time? Were you shooting around work, or how was it working?
Sort of. I mean, I'm a self-employed cameraman, editor. You know,
Yeah.
freelance. Sometimes there's lots of work. Sometimes there's not. At the moment, there's nothing. That's another story.
Yeah.
So I do that, and in my spare time, which was I made it more. I had more spare time than I should have done. I dedicated it to getting this done, but it was huge. People don't realise. You know, they sit there and go, "This is rubbish" or whatever. They don't realise the work that went into it. I can't. Well, you've made a feature film. You know, it was big. This was big. So
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't just happen overnight, as you know.
no,
20 years.
no.
And even just to coordinate a giant scene like the tank scene that we keep talking about,
Yeah.
like that scene is huge. Like that belongs in a blockbuster film. It looks fantastic. It was such a great
Thank you.
scene.
Thank you.
So how long did like something like that take, as opposed to, you know, the kitchen scenes or some of the early dialogue scenes?
Well, the tank scene was actually it took about 4 years. That whole battle scene
really?
took. Yeah. Now I didn't shoot it all in. I didn't shoot it all in one night. What I did was right early on. I thought we were crowdfunding, and I was just getting my head around how it was working, and I thought I need a bigger audience. And so now you have to remember, Twitter and Facebook were quite new at this point, and it was the point when it was actually quite good. You could get to everybody. Me and my friend Mark, we just blitzed on Twitter, and I had about 12 followers. You know, that's what it's like. But it was like, we're making this sci-fi movie. We're shooting Birmingham. We had the time and the date. We had it all specifically done. Come and come and get blasted by aliens. Come and run for your lives. Get zapped, and we just blasted these out there, and I did say on Facebook, and when a few people said, "Yeah, we'll come," and they were sharing it, but I got there on the day, and I got there about 3 hours early, and I'd forgotten how big it is. When you're in the centre of a city, you look around, it's huge. I thought, oh Christ, what if we get like 15 people turn up? And what I decided to do was just the crowds running up and down the streets. And we had a big light with a big big crane with a 10K light on it, and we had all sorts going on. And I had all this crew, and I had 7 cameramen there. And amazingly, about 900 people turned up. And because we were making a lot of noise, I was saying, run up and down the street. We're gonna run that way, and then we're gonna run that way. So we did it in bits, and I had all cameramen covering it from all different angles. And I was like to the guy, all the people, I said, look, when you run, scream, really go for it, and look up, look behind you as if you. And they got so into it, and I ran them up and down the streets about 15 times. And we covered it crazy, and we gave them all flyers. Next day, my Facebook, followers went through the roof, and everybody had such a great time. They said, they said, oh, my thighs are killing me, but that was the best night of my life, because it was like therapy. And it was so inspiring, and it looked amazing. And I was like, this is the first day of the shoot. This is the way we're going to go. And it kind of went downhill from there. But then we did that, and then I shot the scenes.
That was the first day of the shoot.
Yeah, the cameraman. Yeah,
wow.
that was the first day. Gordon, the cameraman, was like, "What are we doing, Simon? What have you dragged me into?" So,
That's crazy.
but anyway, and then I would do a bit more crowdfunding, and all these people would help, and it was fantastic. Honestly, it was amazing. You know, if nothing else, it was the best experience. But and then I shot the scenes with Lucy driving the street, and we got more crowds for that where she's looking up, and then as I cut the scene, we got the rest of the film together. I thought, you know, I need the military. Wouldn't it be great if we had soldiers and tanks like War of the Worlds or The Day the Earth Stood Still? And I met this guy I was filming a First World War One memorial event, and I saw this guy with tanks. And I said, "You don't do tanks for films, do you?" And he goes, "Yeah, I've got 72 tanks." I was like, "Oh, okay."
Okay.
Yeah, as you
Hey,
do.
mate, can I borrow your tanks?
Yeah, this is in a little village. This is a little village in the middle of England, like quaint little place. And so I went to see this barn. Like, you'd go down a little field, barn full of tanks, helicopters, and I mean, he supplied parts for the military and that. But he had all these tanks. He said, "Yeah, I'll get you 3 tanks, an armored personnel carrier, and a jeep with a machine gun on the back." I was like, "Yeah." So, and then I had to ask Birmingham Council, you know that shoot we did 4 years ago? Any chance we can just do a little bit more and just bring in some tanks? And they were like, "Tanks?" And I said, "I'd really like to fire one as well. Fire 2 of them." And they went, anyway, that took ages. They let us do that. They let us do it. But then I also wanted the soldiers, and that was the tricky part because you got 40 blokes with machine guns, even though they were machine guns. That doesn't go down well with the local council, but so we had to be very careful how we did it. And anyway, we did it. It was amazing, absolutely amazing.
Oh, fantastic scene! It really boosts the film. Like having stuff like that for for a film which basically was on your shoulders to have such a high, it gives it a high production value, which you just wouldn't have if you didn't have the tanks. You know what I mean? So what a chance
no, I was so pleased. Yeah, no, I wanted to make that movie that was just like, wow, that was that was the whole movie.
The big grin on your face when those tanks came down the road.
Well, to be honest, I was bricking it. I was absolutely bricking it because there was a lot that could go wrong. And because it wasn't long after that incident in Paris where those guys had shot people, so there was a lot of nerves, and they made me bring in actual armed policemen. So we had 2 properly armed police there. We had to pay for those with live ammunition. So they were a bit. Everyone was like, a bit nervous. So it was great.
So that was the first scene you ever shot. Can you take us to the moment where you finished, like the final scene, and then you went, "I've done it. We've finally finished this movie." Like, what was that moment like for you?
It was a bit anticlimactic, really. It kind of fizzled out. We got to the end, and it was like, oh, was that it? But what I didn't realise, because I'd spent so long on this film, and I really had, it was been so long. I'm an editor as well, so I cut the thing, and it got to a point where is this good? Is this bad? I just couldn't see, and I'd done all the 95% of the special effects as well, so I really struggled to kind of see what it was. And I got people in, and they were like, "Oh my god!" And and I got a lot of guidance from some really good people. But it was, I suppose, what it is. It's when 1999 Simon is very different to 2019 Simon when we finished it. So I kind of obviously I was gone from boy to manhood, and it was very difficult to see exactly what it was. And a lot of the kind of story bits I got a little bit confused, but so I don't know if that answered your question, Jules. Sorry, mate, I forgot what the question was. But
I just wanted to know what it was finally like.
It was more like,
I guess you could.
There was a bit of, thank God. There was a bit of that,
I can imagine it was quite a massive weight off your shoulders, at least.
Well,
to have
the
shot
probably more so in the editing process, I can imagine.
Yeah, that was painful. But it was, with editing, it's all about choices. It's like, should we go there, or should we do that? Or if I put that bit there, that'll affect that. And you're juggling this thing. It's very, it's quite a difficult beast to sort of shape. But it was good. The first night when I screened it, that was terrifying. I was like, I couldn't speak. I was a nervous wreck. But
where was the premiere and what was it like?
Well, you know the scene where all the zombie scenes, the
Yeah.
big staircase. That's actually an old IMAX cinema here in Birmingham, and
Oh, cool.
it. Unfortunately, the IMAX went, but the auditorium was amazing, and we had it there. It just seemed kind of apt, and everybody came, and it was lovely. There were family, friends, all the backers. So they were so enthusiastic about it. And we gave them all forms, tell us what you think. And everyone loved it. So I was like, oh, this is great. They're going to love it. Oh,
Awesome.
so when some of the reviews came in, I was a bit hurt. Like, well, everyone else liked it. But anyway, there you go.
So yeah, there have been some savage reviews. There's a video that we saw of you reacting to some of the 1-star reviews, which I think is absolutely rubbish. Because it's not a 1-star film by any means. You've seen our review. I really enjoyed it. We had a really good time with it.
Oh, thank you.
How do you like deal with that sort of thing? Do you just take it in stride, or because you have had so many other people say it is great, or like what's your process there?
That's interesting. Process is a strange word actually to use, but in a way it is a process. When it went out there, the trailer, first of all, I was a bit shocked at the amount of abuse on YouTube that it got. And it's to the point of like, because I was nervous about the thing anyway, and it's a bit like is this an adult channel? I don't know how I should word this, but like imagine you've got your house, right, and you mow your lawn and you spent ages putting the flowers in, and it looks beautiful, and you've got a lovely cultivated lawn, and you're like, and you open it to the world, and then a load of big crappy dogs come along and they dump all over it, but you can't clean it up, so you've got this lovely lawn with dog poo all over it. Sorry. My daughter's just leaving there. So, just like just typical good timing there. And that's what it feels like. And it's like, you guys have no idea. You've got no idea how difficult it is to make a film. And I think the problem is, it might be partly my fault. We did pitch it. It should have been like, this is an indie film, and I think we've got it right in Australia. But it was like Warner Bros. Meets Independence Day. And they put that on the DVD box, and I was like, I don't think we should put that on the DVD box. But people go in expecting Rise of Skywalker kind of effects, and they go, oh my god, so it's a bit hurt. It hurt a bit. It took me a while to kind of come to terms with it. And at first, I went in like taking them all on, and then I thought, well, what are you doing, Simon? You can't just let it go with it. And a lot of other filmmakers, I asked them about it, and they said they don't read the reviews. Because a lot of indie films get abuse, even really good ones. They get absolutely major abuse. So, and it does annoy me. There's no respect. It's sort of I suppose that's the internet, really. It's like,
well, it is. It's given everybody a voice, and they use it to crap on films.
Yeah, and they do.
But a lot of people haven't gone out and made their own film. Which, like you said, it doesn't just happen. This has been a 20-year journey for yourself to get this onto a screen, and it's finally there. It isn't a big budget film, and that's kind of the charm of it.
Yeah, I agree. And the opening scene, it's inspired by things like The $6 Million Man and I can't think of Buck Rogers. Those title sequences in back in the sort of 70s and 80s, you'd watch you sit down for your weekly dose of sci-fi or whatever, and you'd get the tail end of the last episode, and then it would go into the funky intro, and then the film would start. And I kind of wanted to replicate that and get that feeling of like, oh, here we go, this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are like, what the hell?
No, I thought it set it up well. Like, I quite liked that era of TV show feel that you were going for.
Yeah.
Now, that is a question I wanted to ask, because the original name of the film was going to be Kaleidoscope Man. Is that right?
Yeah. I'll tell you, because I say this on the review reaction to the review that you did. When it was called Kaleidoscope Man, I took it around to every distributor here in the UK. And half of them didn't watch it, and nobody was interested. And I had a chat with a filmmaker friend, and he said, give it a generic title. We have a British film over here called Daleks Invasion Earth 2450. I don't know if you had it over there.
No.
It's a 60s, 70s film, and I love it. It's funky. It's got the waka waka guitars in it. There's Daleks and sci-fi and lasers. So I thought, I wanted to call it Invasion Earth, but there was already something called Invasion Earth. So I thought,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
Invasion Planet Earth. And I thought about it long and hard, you know. And I told all our backers, a lot of them said, oh, please don't change the name. But as soon as I changed it, the distributors jumped on it.
More interesting. That's
Distributors,
interesting.
sales agents, yeah, it was like they could see where to pitch it. I don't know what it was. And also they said, Kaleidoscope Man, you're cutting out your female audience. You know, it's all, you know, it's like Superman, Spider-Man.
Right. Okay.
It's another thing. And
yeah.
And they were going, Kaleidoscope Man, it's a kid's toy. And I was like, but it's a metaphor, but you know, for reflection and colours of light. No, we don't care about that. So
it makes so much sense after you see it. It makes sense, the film that you were considering calling it Kaleidoscope Man.
I feel like we were having that conversation after watching it. So I guess if there was a movie called Kaleidoscope Man and Invasion Planet Earth, I guess I probably would lean toward Invasion Planet Earth, because I would be expecting that straight to sci-fi thing that I was talking
me too. And I'm exactly the same. Whereas, and they also said, you know, to be brutally honest, they said, look, you've got to pay your investors back. With a more generic name, you're more likely to make a return on the film and pay them back, and they'll back the next one. So I'm like, okay, makes sense. Let's do it. And I thought it for years. I thought changing the name because I loved Kaleidoscope Man, but
it is, you know, cool name.
But there you go. Never mind. He pops up. People have said to me, why don't you make the TV series Kaleidoscope Man? Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, there you go. That could be fun.
Yeah.
Well, what is next for Simon Cox? Or do you have anything else in the works?
Well, because this was quite a big, you know, this was quite a big film. I just thought next time round, I'm going to go bigger. Right?
Yeah.
I was building up to the joke then, but I kind of killed the moment. I'm making a much bigger but a slightly more controllable sci-fi movie. It's called Of Infinite Worlds. Obviously, we're in lockdown. We're just coming out of lockdown here, but it's second waves are due, so there's no live action filming at the moment. But I during the last few months, we've got the script ready to go. I've done a little bit of crowdfunding, got a bit of development money, got some had some models. We're going to go old school with the models rather than with the spaceships, rather than CGI. I've got this fabulous model makers built some brilliant models, and we're going to put them on a motion control rig and fly them around and you know. I can't wait.
Yes, awesome.
So cool.
And because the thing is, nobody's doing anything at the moment, so I raised a little bit of money for crowdfunding, and I rang up. This is a place that does the Avengers and Marvel films, and I said, "Yeah, your motion control. Would you do a little low-budget indie film?" I said, "I can give you a little bit of cash." And they said, we've got nothing on at the moment. We'll do it. We'd love to do it. So I'm going to see them tomorrow. So in the next few weeks, I'll be filming spaceships. So I'm really excited about it. So, yeah.
Oh, awesome, Simon. Good luck with that. That sounds awesome.
Thank you. It's going to be a good film. It's set in space, and it's a bit more, there's lots of spaceships and alien planets and things. And better effects. I'm going to do better effects. I've learned loads about special effects on this one.
Simon, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing your film with us, and we hope other people can watch it and get the same enjoyment that we did.
Thanks, Jules. Thanks, Fish. Really, really appreciate your support, guys. It's been lovely to speak to you.
Anytime. We'll talk to you on the next one.
I can't wait. I'll be knocking on your door.
Yeah. We've got to watch your 1998 horror special.
Let's move it on. No, you can. It's good. It's a good film. It's just it has issues, but that's another story.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Simon.
All right, guys.